Hey guys, it's John at Cue the Sound. Thanks for stopping by again. And I wanted to go over a problem that I came across. This was back when I was just learning how to use Ableton, and now it's turned out to be very effective now. I have multiple keyboards. I have multiple devices for input. In fact, I have a different keyboard at home than I have at my church. And so oftentimes what I'll need to do is switch out some MIDI settings, and it kind of gets to be a pain in the butt. So what I want to do is help you understand how to set up Sunday keys in Ableton so that you can use multiple keyboards when you need to be on the same channel. This is kind of cool. Open up your Sunday keys instance, and I trust that you've made a copy of your original download so that you have your own set that you are you're managing or that you've edited yourself. And the first thing I'm going to do, just for organizational sake, is I'm going to group all of the Sunday Keys channels, or all of the Sunday Keys tracks. So I'm going to select the first track header and go all the way to the filter over here, hold down Shift and select, and then I'll hit the Command G and group that together into one group. And then I'm going to rename this Command R. I'm going to call it, I'll just call it SK Sounds. Okay, now I can collapse this. And basically everything that's been done inside of Sunday Keys, except for the return track, which is the shimmer, is now grouped in a single grouping here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a couple of MIDI tracks. Let's do Shift Command T. So we'll do 1, Shift Command T, 2. We'll do 2. Let's assume we have 2 pianos. Maybe like I do, I've got an Akai Pro Advanced 61 sitting in front of me right now. And then on stage, I've got a Yamaha CP33. So let's go ahead and, I'll just go ahead and name these. Let's do the Yamaha CP33 and Korg ADV 61, Advanced 61. Okay, and because they're both keyboards, let's give them a common color. I don't know, make them white. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to create a third MIDI channel, and I'll show you why. Let's insert a MIDI track. And we'll call this, I'll drag it to the left here so it's in the right spot for me. And what I'll do is I'll call this keyboard. ARDS. Do keyboards. Okay, and then what we're going to do here is group these. So I'll select the first, hold Shift and select the last, and then Command G. And I'll make a group. And then we'll color this the same. Let's make this white. And I'll make the keyboards white. And then we'll name this group MIDI, well, I'll call it instruments. Now, let's see, MIDI input. Okay. The original template here has every track set to listen to all instruments on all channels with monitor in on, and the tracks are set to be armed so that you can actually see the color of the track. So for this instance right here, we see that all the tracks are set up directly to receive all MIDI input, and we don't want that. Here's what we want. We want to set up our MIDI devices first. So on the Korg Advanced 61, let's go to Live Preferences, and here's my Advanced 61, and I've got for input, this is from the keyboard. I've got my remote on, and I've got my track on. Track on enables the ability to use or select this device in the track. Remote on actually allows it to be a control. Okay, so here's what I've done. I went ahead and connected my Korg NanoPad 2, and we'll pretend that it's a keyboard since I don't have my other keyboard here. Let me go to Preferences again, and now I've got pad control. Oh, I remember this would be a Mackie control. And we're looking at the NanoPad 2 input, and I need any output. The only time I would need output is if I needed some sort of lighting to work on the device. So here we'll set this input from the Mackie Control Nano to on. So now we're receiving a signal. Now, let me test this. Yeah, we're getting a signal. So this is the NanoPad. I'm pressing the NanoPad right now. And now I'm pressing the Yamaha. In fact, I'm sorry, the Korg. And now, in fact, let me go up here and change this to NanoPad. Okay, so now we have that correctly set up. And you'll also notice that when I play on my keyboard, you can see that there's a signal here because we have all instruments, all channels set. It's coming through on both of these tracks. It's even coming through on this third track. There's no MIDI output set, but that doesn't matter because that's not where the MIDI signal is focused right now. You're also going to notice that on all of the Sunday Keys tracks, you're going to have the all instruments and all channels responding to this. And ultimately, you want all of these to respond, unless you truly want to customize this beyond this setup. But what we want to do here is tell, we want to tell Ableton Live to listen on the Korg Advanced 61 to just the Advanced 61, and we want it to be on the channel that the Advanced 61 is transmitting on, which is channel 1. Okay. We want to make sure that for these two right now, I'll turn them off. No input, just for demonstration purposes. And no input. Okay. And now we have a signal here. You can see channel 1. Now we don't have a signal here, so the signal's actually not getting through. It's not going all the way through the track. If we armed it, we do have a signal going all the way through. But we don't need to do that. All we need to do is set up monitor in. So now anything coming in from the advanced on channel 1 is going to be triggered, and it's going to go through this channel. Okay? Now, for the NanoPad is set up on channel 2, I believe. I'll just double check that. We'll select channel 2 and see what happens, and see if we get a signal. Yes, so I've configured that with the Nano Control to have input coming through on channel 2 only. And the same thing goes for this. If I have monitor to auto, nothing's going to actually get through. Now you may wonder again, why is this actually playing something? Well, that's because, remember, all of the SK Sounds tracks are set to all instruments, all channels. Okay, so what we'll do here is on the NanoPad, I'm going to set this also to monitor in. So now the signal is registered on the meter, and it is getting through. But I don't want to send the MIDI from these to anywhere except the keyboard track. So here's the trick. I'm going to send from the MIDI 2, I'm going to send this to keyboards. Okay? And you can see that the monitor just popped up here. I'm going to send Korg Advanced 61 to keyboards. Okay, so now when I trigger, as long as I have monitoring in on the keyboards track, I'm going to see that coming through. So if I press the keyboard on the advanced, you can see that this track triggers, and it also triggers on the keyboards track. You can see that when I trigger the track for NanoPad, it triggers the NanoPad meter, but it also sends it to the keyboards. So essentially, you're taking channel 1 and channel 2, and you're merging it into one track. Okay? Now, here's where we enhance this. Go over to SK Sounds, grab all of your tracks, and set the MIDI from to keyboards. Don't worry about post mixer, that's fine. As a result of that, I still should have a sound. So what I've done is I've routed any incoming MIDI through Korg Advanced 61 and any incoming MIDI from the NanoPad, I've routed that to the keyboards track. Then, rather than sending it over to SK Sounds, which you could only send it to one track, rather than sending it, what we do is we go over to SK Sounds and we dial in, we kind of tune it in like a radio. where the MIDI is coming from. And we've chosen keyboards. And so now when we play on our keyboard at the church, when I play in my Advanced 61, everything registers and it works, no problem. And when I go home and I plug my other keyboard in, which would be the Yamaha, when I play on it, it also sends a signal over to SK Sounds. And that isolates the signal coming in and sets you up so that you can bounce back and forth without having to keep configuring your MIDI input. And through the process, I disabled all of these, which is okay. Anyway, that's a little bit of a more of an advanced way of setting up multiple devices. So when I collapse this, now I've got two groups. I've got the MIDI input group, and I've got the SK Sounds, which receives all of its MIDI signals from the MIDI input track. If you have any questions, let me know. Love to answer them. Thanks for stopping by.